Hi, welcome. I'm Shipra Hendry, and this is step one of 11 steps to returning to your supernatural self. This is the ninth day of Elul, and I am feeling quite nervous. I'll tell you why. I finally really finished my manuscript for Soulfire, Activate the Sacred Power of Your Quantum Self, and started sending it out for endorsements as of last night. And today, hear my voice. And I just want to say that it's so obvious that our identity, which we'll be talking about today, is terrified of change, even good change, terrified in so many different ways. And you know what? That's okay. It goes with the territory. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what it is. And we just have to understand it. So I'm just glancing at some notes that I made here. Step one, the title today is The Snake in Your Mirror. Our sense of self, which is not actually our soul self. When we look at ourselves, when we look in the mirror of self, when we look in the mirror of our lives, we're not seeing who we really are. We're not seeing why we're really here. We're not seeing the reality of what happens around us, other people, circumstances, even the core nature of what reality is. We're not seeing it as it is. We're seeing it through the lens of the identity, the ego-based or ego mind identity, which I often speak of it and think of it in terms of the snake voice. Because when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden, even though they were meant to wait for another, they were commanded to wait for another 3 hours to eat from the tree of life and live forever in this beautiful holy garden, which is still inside of us. It didn't disappear. It didn't go away. It went into hiding. A veil came down over that reality, a truer reality, and we're here to lift that veil off. And it starts from understanding what we're not. Becoming who you are begins with understanding, seeing for real who you're not, where the problems are, where the mistakes are. That's why creation starts at night. The whole creation story, every day of creation starts at night. Creation starts with concealment, the tzimtzum, the Kabbalistic word for the contraction and concealment of the infinite divine light, the Or Ein Sof. So the snake voice is the internalization of the snake presence, which was anti-God, self-realization, which in essence is holy, but in form was unholy. Everything has to be done. All potential light must be able to be enclosed, embedded in the correct vessels, lights and vessels. So yes, the snake told Adam and Eve, if you eat from this tree, told Eve, if you eat from this tree, you'll be like God, knowing good and evil. And that was true. The snake was telling the truth. But the way that it cunningly designed the process to take place was and is agonizing, slow. But at the end of the day, or at the bottom of all things, the truth is that it was designed this way by God. Because this step-by-step grinding experience of learning the laws of cause and effect, of identifying true desires versus false desires, true co-creativity versus reactivity and defensiveness, the true voice of the soul versus the voice of the ego-based identity, the snake voice, the self-conscious, defensive, fixing, catching up, trying to hide, all of these things that happen in the original Garden of Eden story, the story of the fall. So all of that creates bit by bit, and sometimes leap by leap, creates new vessels in consciousness, in emotion, in understanding, in alignment in our lives, creates new vessels that allow our soul's light to turn on from the inside. Yesterday I talked about how Elul, Ani Ladodi Vidodi Li, I am to my beloved and my beloved is to me, that the King, God, is in the field, means not only that God is close and non-judgmental right now, full of compassion, ready to help, wanting to help, smiling at you. This is true. This is the energy of the month. We're in the 9th day of Elul now. Use every day as wisely as you can. Imperfectly. It's always imperfect. The drive, the thought that we need perfection is one of the biggest obstacles that we have. Also the snake voice. But yet it's not only from the outside, it's awakening that divine voice from within. It's awakening that intimate connection where you are with God like a beloved, like you know you're loved and you're working on the relationship. Not always do we feel that deep love. Many of us feel a lot more trauma than we feel love, or maybe anger, maybe grief, maybe shame, maybe sadness, maybe fear. All of these things came with the eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. All of these are a result of that, are the internalization of the snake voice. All of that is embedded in the identity. When you were born, the family that you were born into, the parents that you were born to, the environment that you lived in, the school that you went to, the neighbors that you had, the experiences that you had, how your body was, all of these things were created by divine design in order to recapitulate or re-trigger or reenact the very snake voice, snake beliefs, identity traps, and identity strengths that your soul came down to rectify and transform. The core purpose of creation, according to mystical Torah, is that God wants to have a dwelling place in the lowest world, the world where he is most concealed, which is in us. But if you look deeper, what does that really mean? That means God wants a relationship. God said in the Torah, it's not good for man to be alone. That's why God separated Adam, the male part of Adam, from the female part. Originally, Adam was created male and female. So separating that unconscious relationship back to back, separating them face to face, now there's the possibility of conflict. Now there's the need for individuation. But ultimately, the point is reconciliation on a much more intimate level. That's what God did with his male part and his female part, exactly the same way. So we are the female part. You're the female part. And that's another reason why, another platform for seeking the godliness within you, seeking the divine within you, practicing hearing, listening for and discerning your true voice, the voice of your soul. Wherever your soul is, God is. Your soul is always connected without any kind of interruption, eternally, infinitely at its core. But the identity interrupts. The physicality of the world interrupts. So when you were born, you were put in a situation that would literally bring you, was custom created for you, your entire life path, custom created for you. Yes, there are different choices you could make. It's all custom created for you. Whichever way you go, you're going to end up, all roads lead to Rome. So you're going to end up elevating the sparks. This is another explanation for the purpose of creation. What is the purpose for creation? To transform darkness into light, to transform concealment into revelation. Whenever that happens, the sparks of godliness, of God, that are hidden in every thought, in every relationship, in every moment of time, in every molecule of space, in every interaction, in every physical thing you eat or touch, or that touches you, all of it and so much more. All of this is pure divinity hidden within an elaborate, complex set of costumes that hide that divinity. And when you interact by divine design with anything, including your own thoughts, there's hidden God in there. And when you seek out and find that divinity, which could be a sense of purpose, could be a sense of passion, pleasure, connection, growth, then you're revealing that divine spark and you're allowing it to reconnect to the whole and to bring down, you're creating vessels that allow the bringing down and the receiving, the channeling of much deeper light into you and into the whole world. So this is how it works. So when we are looking at ourselves, Ani Ladodi Vidodi Li, I must reach out to God, who is eagerly and lovingly waiting in this month of Elul. I have to know who I am. It has to be the real me reaching out. So who are you really? You are not the snake that is disguised as you. You are not your insecurities. You are not your fears. You are not your shame. You are not your flaws, no matter how real they feel. You're not the struggles of your life. You're that which is here to transform all of those things, to reveal the God in all of those things, to elevate all of those pieces back to their source so that the light will shine down. The divine light that was concealed in order to make a space for creation will shine into creation, into you, into your life, into your body, into your relationships, into everything in an infinite way. How can you experience infinite light and still exist? By making these vessels bit by bit. Oops, there's a sun on my chin. By making vessels bit by bit, every time you encounter another moment, another situation, another thought, another opportunity, another challenge, another person, another bite of food, another step on the ground, all of it and so much more, every single thing that you encounter at every single moment of your life is custom created for you. It's God reaching out to you saying, find me. Please find me. Please connect with me. Please reveal me. Please be one with me. And Elul is the time specifically, I feel like I want to do this. Elul is the time specifically when we are able to do that with the most grace and the most power. So in this process, we have to remember, oh, I'm so disconcerted by this. I don't know what to do about it. Does help? Ish. Kind of. Okay, sorry. Sorry, if I disappear from sunlight, think of it as a good thing. Okay, anyway, so we have to understand, because knowing, having consciousness, understanding how this works, what we're dealing with, who we are, where we are, why we're there, all of it is the first foundational step. I talked about that yesterday. So I want you to start to think about the fact that God, the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, never actually disappeared. It was hidden, but it was not removed. It's here. It's right where you're sitting. It's inside of you, but it's concealed over by levels of identity, by, again, what the fears, the shame, the sadness, the rage, the blame, the guilt, all of that that got initiated and internalized the moment that Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So there's a fracture, there's a remembering inside. Like, I'm curious how many people here have the feeling that they're not really home. Do you feel like you're not really home? And if you feel like that, do you have a feeling that there is somehow, or there should be, an actual home? It's just where is it? What happened to home? Why am I here? How do I get back there? And if you have that feeling, it's a sign of sensitivity of your soul, even your mind, even your personality, your identity, because to the degree that you can remember that there is a home, every moment that you can remember that there is a home, that's another breadcrumb that you can follow to go deeper, to find some element of Eden that exists within you and to reveal that in your life. So guarding Eden, when the entrance to Eden was hidden, guarding it was, and still is, an angel with a revolving sword. What is the revolving sword? So I'm going to tell you my interpretation of the revolving sword, the one that I think is most useful. And that is, every time we attempt to reveal some truth about ourselves, you want to live from a place of a true desire, something that you really want, a dream that you have that you don't want to let go of, a better relationship, a more vital, vibrant body, something that you want to bring to the world, art, music, healing, business, whatever it might be. So that desire comes from your soul. When it's authentic, it comes from your soul. When you feel afraid to go forward, when you feel triggered, when you feel like you are fatally flawed, when you feel like you don't have what it takes, when you get shut down and figure you're not meant to do it, that's the voice of the snake speaking. At every moment that happens, you're meeting a blade of the revolving sword. Again, this is my interpretation. And that sword, if you allow it to, can cut you. How do we get through one step and then another step? We have to find the presence, the quiet, the time slowing down space between the blades. So looking deeply, what is the pattern that is triggered now by my identity as I start to take a step forward into my soul's purpose and desire? Where did that first happen to me in this life? What's my earliest memory? of having that feeling, having that experience that's shutting me down right now? What's the earliest memory? This by itself will give you a tremendous amount of clarity. Almost always, the things that are bothering you now the most, almost always, they are the very things that happened when you were really young. The setup, the template that was established back then that you're still living through. So when you can get triggered, you can see it as a big uh-oh. You can see it as a shutdown. You could see it as a failure. You could see it as destiny, doom, I'm not meant to succeed. Or you can see it as an opportunity to peer through in between the blades of the revolving sword. See what the program is that got set up. Remember, I said at the beginning of this stream that true awakening, true return to your supernatural self starts when you realize where you're not that. You have to see what is not in order to understand what is, or how to have access to what is. So this is the polarity of creation that was designed specifically to help us do this. So if you can start to see just for the rest of Elul, just during these 11 steps, this is step 1. If you can start to see your challenges, your triggers, your defensive emotions, your fears, your shame, whatever it is, your anger, if you can start to see that as something that got dust that got kicked up so you can see where you need to clean next. Start to see it as the revolving sword, the opening that's waiting to be cleared. And every time you clear something like that, by first seeing it, understanding where it came from, understanding how and why your buttons are being triggered or pressed, what is the fear? What is this fear preventing me from accessing? What's the benefit? What's the cost? I really feel funny. I really feel like I'm like bronze now in the sun. Anyway, every time you ask yourself that, if you do it deeply enough, if you do it for real, you'll find that a shift happens. Simply by owning, seeing, recognizing, identifying, delving into the origin of the pattern that might have been stopping you unconsciously thousands of times in your life from going forward. They say that we have this 95% of the thoughts that we have are thoughts that we've had many times before. How many days have you been alive? How many thoughts have you had in a specific day? How many of those are repetitive? Where did they start? How real are they? Are they you? Or are they the darkness that you're here to transform? The snake voice that you're here to bring light to? Because every time you do this, every time you make one little shift, and it starts with consciousness, it starts with embracing, it starts with exploring. You're not fatally flawed. You're human because your humanness allows you to become divine. It is your humanness that allows you to exist in a state of self-centered beingness, and a node of consciousness inside out, where you feel like reality starts with you. That's because you're human. That's because of the snake. The snake allows you to feel real, separate, powerful, or not powerful. It's the source of the ego. The ego is the personal identity. The greatest angels, the highest angels, and the holiest souls do not have this. Do you understand that? The holiest souls do not have that sense of self. They do not have free choice. And they do not live in this dense, thick, physicalized darkness, separation, that literally holds the deepest divine light. That's why when you hit a packet of this darkness, when you're trying to move forward, or even if you're not, get triggered, and instead of just reacting and pushing it away like Adam and Eve did, hiding behind trees or whatever, when after the fall, God came looking for them. Where are you? And they knew they were ashamed. That is embedded. That paradigm, that reflex is embedded in every human being. You feel ashamed of yourself. You feel like there are things you don't want to tell anybody. You're not telling anybody, things that if someone knew, whoa, that would be so bad. You're so bad. Those things, everyone feels those things. Every single person. The fear that you feel of speaking up, that you might be judged, everyone feels that. Everyone. Some people are more practiced at overcoming it. Some people are better at hiding it. But these are the universal feelings that came with the eating from the tree of knowledge, every one of them, and this is the point that I want to make, every one of them is like a raw package of unfiltered nuclear potential through which you can make a new vessel that will hold an completely formerly dormant and hidden, never before accessed, never before tapped into piece of raw, powerful light from your soul. I hope this is clear. So the biggest vessels, we're born with a certain number of vessels. You have intelligence, that's a vessel. You can express yourself, that's a vessel. You have empathy, that's a vessel. You can walk, that's a vessel. You have creativity, that's a vessel. But the deeper vessels, the more supernatural vessels, those are the natural vessels. Some of us have, more functional ones than others. But the supernatural vessels, the ones that are waiting for us to notice them, to go for them, to open them, to co-create them now, those are the ones that are hiding in your challenge. Continue. Okay, I hope not too much got lost. So I don't know where I lost connection, but in any case, I'll just repeat really quickly that the ordinary natural resources that you have are the things that you were born with, the things that come easily to you. The supernatural, extraordinary, miraculously powerful potential that you, sitting right wherever you're sitting, do have in reality, right here and now. The reason that you don't experience it yet, wherever you don't, is because the vessels have not been created for that. Light cannot be revealed or experienced without vessels to hold it. So how do those vessels get created? In challenge and breakdown, in desire and thwarted desire, in triggers and reactivity, that to which you then bring consciousness and intention and transformation. And that is how the vessels are created for the supernatural light. And I don't know about you, but that's what I want pretty much more than anything. I mean, yes, the survival and thriving of my loved ones and whatever, my self-help, basic fundamental needs met. But when I'm driven, and I'm pretty driven, when I'm driven, like when I wake up in the morning, when I go to sleep at night, when I think about what I want to create, when I think about what's missing, anything that I can work with, it's about becoming supernatural. This is not something that I made up either, although it's very embedded as part of my personality. The things that you most desire are coming from your soul. They are. So if you most desire love or truth or beauty, or if you also want to become supernatural, that's because your soul desires that. That's because your soul was sent down with that mission. Your soul is resonating with that mission, and that's why it's in your body. But I think becoming supernatural is the key, in the right way, in the soul God way, in the consciousness way, in the redemption way, is the key to everything, because it takes us beyond our identity into the light of our soul. And as I said, the light and the fire and the power of our soul, as I said before, when your soul is comfortable, when your soul is revealed, the God is revealed through your soul. And that's a big piece of what this time is about, and a big piece of what Elul is about. And the Rebbe said specifically, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, that we must do miracles by our nature, that we must create the state shift that I talked about yesterday between the natural world, where God set it up, and there are laws of nature, and there's deserve and don't deserve, there's bigger, smaller, holy or less holy, and then there's a deeper state, a truer state, where everything is God. And you are in an intimate relationship with God. Remember, it's about relationship. That's what all of creation is about, relationship. Who is the relationship with? You. The world was created for you. Every person is commanded to say to himself or herself, the world was created for me. Bishvili nivra olam. What does that mean? That means you are the feminine aspect of God, creating vessels of individuation, first You exist in a state of concealment. That's what separation does. Smallness, reflecting the source at best. And then in this era, we perfected that. I mean, at least collectively through the Torah, that phase was collectively perfected enough that something else is possible. And when something else is possible, it is imperative that it happen. So what is possible now? What needs to happen? That we find and activate and reveal that power, light, and fire of our soul, which is the feminine aspect of God, embedded within each and every one of us, embedded within you. So I'll leave it at that for today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow with step 2 of the 11 steps to returning to your supernatural self, hopefully with less sun on my face. Take care.